Hello, this is Dr. Simon Dutoit. I'm the chair of the University of Windsor Rhodes Scholarship Committee, and I'm hoping that you're considering making an application to the Rhodes Scholarship. The purpose of this video is to give you some information about the application process so that you can prepare an application. I'm hoping that you'll send that to me by email at scholars@uwindsor.ca by August 1st. So what is the Rhodes Scholarship? I want to share information with you about Cecil Rhodes's vision for the Rhodes Scholarship. We'll talk about the University of Windsor's successful Rhodes Scholar, Josh Chauvin. I want to talk with you about the selection criteria for the Rhodes Scholarship and walk through the application process. There's also a second video that will share information with you about the second round of the interview process, the importance of the application essay, and the rest of the application procedure. The Rhodes Scholarship was established in the will of Cecil Rhodes, who, as you probably know, was a British adventurer in the 19th century, a bit of a buccaneer. He opened up southern Africa, found some diamonds, made a whole bunch of money. In his will, he left a vision for a scholarship that would bring the most talented people from across the British Empire to Oxford University, where they would be encouraged to, as he put it, fight the world's fight. Rhodes was looking for what he called all-rounders. And of course, in the 19th century, Rhodes Scholars were men. The vision for the Rhodes Scholarship has become steadily broader over the years. They have been admitting women for many, many years, and the number of countries that can send people to Oxford University through the Rhodes Scholarship also has been growing over the last few years. So what we might understand as a questionable legacy of a white buccaneer, I think, has become a scholarship that has done a lot of good in the world. Chrystia Freeland, our Secretary of State and Assistant Prime Minister, Bob Rae, who is now an ambassador for Canada. There have been a number of prominent Canadians who are Rhodes Scholars, and I'm hoping that you will consider a vision of that kind of scale to promote international understanding and world peace. The University of Windsor has successfully sent one graduate to Oxford University through the Rhodes Scholarship, and that's Josh Chauvin. He graduated with a BA in philosophy and psychology, and he was really mentored during his years here by Professor Marcello Guarini, who at that time was a professor of philosophy and who more recently has been our Dean of the Faculty of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences. And I mention that only because I want to encourage you to take advantage of the opportunity to be mentored by Josh. He is eager to mentor folks who are considering a Rhodes Scholarship application, just as he himself was mentored. So if you're serious about an application, reach out to Josh, and there is his email address. The Rhodes Scholarship Committee is seeking applicants who can satisfy their very high standards in 4 criteria. The first of them, literary and scholastic attainments, is typically demonstrated by having a very high GPA in your BA or BSc. And their cutoff, the Rhodes Canada cutoff, is 3.75 on a 4.0 scale, which is often translated as a low 90 or even a high 80 overall GPA. The second requirement is that you must have energy to use your talents to the full, and historically that was always demonstrated by people who have an athletic track record. Indeed, if you look on the Rhodes Scholarship website, you'll see people who have been Olympic athletes in the past. Now, of course, it's not necessary for everybody who applies to be an Olympic athlete. So, for example, people have demonstrated energy by, let's say, having grade 12 piano, or there are a variety of ways that you can meet that. They're looking for people who have given evidence of truthfulness, courage, devotion to duty, sympathy for and protection of the weak. And basically that means that you've done a lot of volunteer work showing your unselfishness and your devotion to helping others. That can be in a variety of contexts, but it's probably going to be best if it is in a more kind of focused way, something that you've demonstrated a commitment to over a period of time. And finally, they're looking for people who have what they call a moral force of character, the instinct to lead. And obviously that is most often demonstrated by a history of leadership. If you've assumed leadership positions, whether in high school or during your university career, those are important things. Initiating new efforts to solve problems in the local community, showing your dedication to a particular social group or community. Those are some of the different ways that people have shown their ability to meet this requirement. Now, often it is the case that people are really strong in one or two out of these four requirements. It's very rare that a single person will be strong in all four. And it certainly is true that there is no one pathway into the Rhodes Scholarship. So yes, the Rhodes Scholarship is looking for people of outstanding intellect, character, leadership, and commitment to service. Instead of fighting the world's fight now, the Rhodes website talks about seeking people who will be leaders for the world's future. Now, at this point, you may be saying to yourself, well, boy, that's a pretty high mark. I don't know if I'm able to reach that. I really want to encourage you not to underestimate your own potential. As Josh himself has said, even folks who have been at Oxford for years through the Rhodes Scholarship program suffer from what is commonly known as imposter syndrome. They're waiting for somebody to tap them on the shoulder and say, oh, sorry, this is all a big mistake. And that is a common thing that many people, even high-achieving people, experience. Many people who have made it to Oxford have been surprised by the fact that they were selected. So, my advice to you is, take your best shot. You never know. There is an age requirement attached to the Rhodes Scholarship, and that is that you must be no more than 24 years old when you take up your position at Oxford. So you don't want to be any older than 23 by October of this year, 2020. And there are some specific targets there in terms of your birth date. So unfortunately, the Rhodes Scholarship may not be deferred. I think their goal in seeking people who are between 18 and 24 is that this will give Oxford University the opportunity to contribute significantly to your education while you're still young, to give you time to go out and do all that world changing that you have in mind. It's also true that to apply through the University of Windsor, you must be a Canadian citizen, and you must have your completed undergraduate degree in hand before you even start at Oxford University. So that means that you need to be having completed your third year and about to begin your fourth year right now in the summer of 2020. Applying for the Rhodes Scholarship through the University of Windsor has two stages. The first stage is completed here on the University of Windsor campus. We invite people to apply, and we select from the body of people who apply, normally one candidate, sometimes two if there are two very strong applicants. You are then officially nominated to Rhodes Canada by Dr. Robert Gordon, the president of the university, and at that point you would move to the second round of the application process. During the second stage, you have to submit to Rhodes Canada's website a complete portfolio, which will include your personal statement of 1,000 words, talking about your general interests, your goals, your aspirations, why do you think studying at Oxford would be good for you and help you to move forward to achieving that vision. I think it's super important for your statement to focus on larger goals, long-term goals, a future endeavor, rather than trying to craft some kind of an argument as to why your past entitles you to be a strong candidate. That vision is really what Rhodes is looking for. So set high marks for yourself and explain perhaps how your past experiences have prepared you to embark on that journey. So this portfolio will include a CV or a resume, which will list your principal commitments, your honors, the awards you may have won, scholarships and so forth, your leadership positions, if you have an athletic record, what that is, and your extracurricular interests and activities. That's important, I think, to be selective in terms of what you put on your resume. Don't feel like you have to put every little thing. On the other hand, if there is a clear story going back even as far as your grade school days that is consistent and that you can narrate with a series of activities and accomplishments, I would encourage you to include that on your resume. You also have to include an official university transcript with all your courses and grades, and a written statement from the president, which, as I said, we will arrange for that once we've selected you. You also need to have 6 letters of reference in order to have a complete profile on the Rhodes Canada website. 4 of those must be academic in nature, and of course in general those are going to be professors with whom you've studied. But just as I mentioned earlier that Marcella Guarini was an important mentor for Josh Chauvin, you may find yourself having worked with a professor, perhaps in a research setting or in an athletic setting, from whom you've never taken a course. But it certainly is the case that those 4 letters need to be written by people who know you well. You also need to have 2 character references from people off campus. You have to submit a copy of your birth certificate and also a head and shoulders photograph, the kind of thing you might submit for a passport. So you've made it this far. In the second video, we'll continue with further information about the application process, the application essay, which is so important to your application process, what to expect if you make it to the Toronto interview, and further information about what will happen if you do go to Oxford. Will there, for example, be a partner as part of the picture? Finally, I want to offer you some next steps to follow to prepare your application. So stay tuned. Please click the link and follow up with the second video. And don't forget, you can email me at any time for support through the Rhodes Scholarship process. Thanks for your interest.